Look closely at a modern multinational corporation. It is a dynamic, highly interconnected grid, a vast structural network where human capital flows constantly to the exact points where it is needed most. This flow is called talent mobility. It is a structured management strategy designed to physically and functionally move employees into different roles, to new projects, or entirely new geographic locations. Corporations use these relocations as a deliberate mechanism for cross-pollination, moving specific expertise into environments where it can spark growth or solve local bottlenecks. The objective is to aggressively enhance an employee's existing skills, expand their knowledge base, and build new competencies, directly aligning individual growth with broader business targets. Talent mobility, therefore, acts as an active, strategic allocation of human assets. It is a necessary function for organizational survival in a constantly shifting market. This system introduces a critical complication. When an organization extracts an employee from their native geographical or cultural sector and places them in a new one, technical skill alone cannot guarantee success. This geographic shift reliably triggers what we call cultural friction, creating a measurable operational drag on the entire system. This friction does not stem from a sudden drop in technical competency. It is the direct result of clashing underlying values, different belief systems, and entirely foreign implicit behavioral norms. To maintain productivity during a transfer, organizations have to step in and engineer 3 specific cultural variables to neutralize this friction. Left unmanaged, this friction compounds. The resulting operational drag can significantly erode the projected return on moving even the most talented individuals. This diagram represents an organization's structure as a 3-dimensional matrix, tracking how talent moves and where friction occurs. First is vertical mobility, direct upward movement into a role with greater responsibility, like a regional salesperson ascending to marketing manager. Second is horizontal mobility. The employee retains their exact role, shifting laterally to a completely different geographic branch. Third is cross-functional mobility. This is a departmental shift, jumping between distinct operational silos, like moving from marketing directly into finance. Vertical and cross-functional moves mostly require technical upskilling to manage the new tasks. Horizontal mobility, however, introduces heavy sociological variables. By isolating these vectors, human resource strategists can pinpoint exactly where cultural friction will strike during the transfer. We need to look closely at horizontal mobility, specifically when an employee crosses distinct regional, national, or international lines. Crossing these geographic borders immediately subjects the employee to an entirely new set of invisible operational rules. This creates cultural friction, the tension, interpersonal conflict, and organizational resistance that occurs when foreign practices suddenly interact with established local systems. Because of this friction, the highest performing employee in one region can instantly become the lowest performing employee in another, without losing a single technical skill. This cultural dissonance is a predictable, systemic failure of integration. It is an organizational oversight, not a personal failing of the employee. To prevent this failure, the first required variable for integration is cross-cultural awareness. Consider transferring an employee accustomed to a native Indian corporate framework directly into a Western corporate framework in the United States. A baseline awareness of these differing cultural philosophies is mandatory. Without it, the employee faces immediate psychological shock, leading to rapid relational breakdowns with their new peers. This leads directly into the second, and often most rigid, structural barrier: language and communication. Even within a single country, regional linguistic fragmentation is severe. An employee moving from North India down to the South must navigate the shift from speaking Hindi to Tamil, Telugu, or Malayalam. Expand this to international transfers, and the gap widens. A shift from Hindi to English alters the basic mechanics of daily operational communication. Linguistic deficits act as a total blackout. They completely mask an employee's ability to express their technical competence or integrate socially with their team. The organizational solution here is non-negotiable. The company must provide robust language training and immediate translation support to keep the employee functional. Without a shared operational language and deep cross-cultural awareness, The organization effectively quarantines its own top talent the moment they arrive. The third and final variable dictates the mechanics of the office itself, workplace norms and etiquettes. In a corporate context, etiquette functions as a set of hard-coded implicit rules that dictate the literal mechanics of how work gets done. We see this variance immediately in dress codes. One global hub might mandate a strict uniform of blue pants and a white shirt, while another operates with entirely informal attire. We also see it in meeting conduct. Some cultures require silent, physical deference when leadership enters the room, while others demand egalitarian, highly active debate regardless of title. This diagram illustrates the deepest philosophical divide: work styles. On the left, we see environments rewarding competitive individualism, where single employees operate in isolation. On the right, systems require collectivism, merging inputs into a single collaborative hub. An employee heavily trained in one of these operational styles will severely derail the workflow of a team operating on the other. Mastering these workplace norms is equivalent to learning the operating system of the target office. The critical flaw in traditional human resource management is relying on passive, on-the-job cultural adaptation long after the employee relocates. Dropping an employee into a foreign environment and expecting them to learn by trial and error guarantees months of depressed productivity and high cultural friction. This timeline graphic illustrates the organizational mandate. Orientation sessions, cultural guides, and linguistic training must be executed prior to the physical movement, creating that blue productivity zone immediately upon arrival. Preemptive intervention is the only valid method to insulate the organization from the collateral damage of cross-border talent transfers. Talent mobility remains a high-leverage tool for aligning human capability with global business demands. While physical relocation involves complex logistics, successful mobility requires solving for the deeper intricacies of cognitive and cultural integration. By actively anticipating and managing cross-cultural awareness, language barriers, and operational norms, a company can completely neutralize the threat of cultural friction. Rigorous cultural calibration transforms talent mobility from a high-risk disruption into a sustainable method for scaling expertise across a global footprint.